Friends, welcome. My name is Stephanie Williams, owner of Festive Creations, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to put together a wreath kit using one of the signs that we make right here at Festive Creation. Dogs welcome, people tolerated. If you want to know more about how to get your very own wreath kit, don't worry, I'm going to put the link in the description below. Also, if you want to learn more about my wreath kit of the month, you can get a reoccurring kit sent to you every month for a much discounted price. Just that link will be also below in the description. But let's take a look at what this kit is going to have involved in it. So to begin with, this wreath kit comes with this 10-inch metal sign, UV protected metal sign. It also comes with 2 rolls of my drift mesh in black and white. It comes with 3 rolls of ribbon that pair up very nicely with our sign. And it comes with this 15-inch elevated work frame, but something that you can only get at Festive Creations is right here. It is this dog bone. This dog bone measures 5 inches in length. And on the back of it, we have added holes so that you can add a pipe cleaner or floral wire to attach it to your design. So I'm actually going to be using floral wire today. And I just kind of curl the end of it a little bit so that it slides right up through there. And now when I get ready to add it to my wreath frame, there it is, easily attached. It's made with hard plastic. And that is, again, exclusively right here at festivecreationsbystephanie.com. So let's get started. Some additional tools that we are going to be using are my Fisker scissors, my rotary cutter, and this isn't required, however, because scissors will work, but this makes it more convenient. I've got some pipe cleaners, some floral wire, DAP rapid fuse glue, and I have some cable tie mounts that you can find either at Festive Creations by Stephanie, your local hardware store, Amazon, you name it. And I'm going to show you how we use those. I also have like a little clip if you have a clothespin that will also come in super handy. And my side cutters, my wire cutters. So let's get started. These are like my basic tools in my craft room when I make a wreath. So let's get started with this recipe. So when I say recipe, that's what it means when I give you measurements and dimensions for this wreath ensemble. So this wreath is using 2 rolls of the same exact mesh. So in this case, each roll has 10 yards. My wreath frame has 18 twist ties. So 18 of these twist ties, we're going to remove that. We're going to open up the twist ties on our wreath frame so that we can get ready to load our deco mesh on here. Now, the deco mesh that we're using is a very nice quality mesh, so it's going to uphold very nicely in the outdoor elements. In fact, everything we are using will hold up very nicely outdoors. So if it gets rained on, it's okay. If it's in direct sunlight, it's okay. The most critical thing that might happen is your ribbon, which is wired, might become a little faded or wilted after long periods of time. And when I say long periods of time, I'm talking if you leave it outside for several months, right in the direct wind, rain, sun, snow, all of that stuff. Yes, it's going to show wear and tear, obviously, just like me, if you put me outside in the elements. All right, so I'm just going to stack these 2 rolls of mesh right on top of each other. And I'm going to roll them all the way to the end of my cutting mat. And take my rotary cutter. And we're going to cut these at 33 inches. So right down here, you can go 33 to 34 inches. It just, it really depends on you. So if you do the math, there's 18 twist ties. There's 10 yards per roll. So even at 32 to 34 inches, you're still going to have a little bit left over, but not much. So you have to choose whether or not you want to go. Honestly, as far as the end result with the wreath itself, that extra 2 inches or minus 2 inches is really not going to make an effect on what your wreath looks like. So your recipe is you're going to cut 18 of these at 32 to 34 inches. And if you're not sure, especially if you're new, go with the 32. So that way, if you make an error or or make a mismeasurement and maybe get one a little too long, sometimes goof ups happen. So allow yourself a little margin for error. All right, so let's finish cutting these. And then we're going to move on to the next step. I like to do both of them at the same time when it is the same exact mesh, or even if they're 2 different colors of meshes, if they're the same length, why not? Why not do them both at the same time? Still quite a bit of mesh here, and I cut this at 32 inches. I cut mine at 32 inches. So save this because we'll be able to use this for other projects in the future. But before we go on, I want to get our sign prepared. So what I mean by getting prepared is we're going to add these cable tie-mounts with our DAP Rapid Fuse glue. But before we do that, let's kind of imagine where we're going to place this sign on our wreath frame. So imagine that this has already got some mesh on it. Are we going to place our sign here, kind of off to the side and down towards the bottom? Are we going to put it towards the top, the middle, smack dab in the middle, the bottom? So where are you going to put your sign? That's going to make a huge difference. I'm actually going to go to the bottom left. So now I see the frame, where it's going to attach to the frame. So I want to put my cable tie mounts here and here so that I can attach it to the frame later on. So I'm going to begin by adding that DAP Rapid Fuse glue, and I only need a little drop of glue for each spot, and I do need to my pliers and take off our lid. There we go. So it only takes a little spot of glue, not right at the edge, but maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches in, inch. And these have an adhesive backing on them, but trust me, you don't want to rely on that adhesive backing. In fact, if you live in a climate where it gets very humid, hot, yucky, Arizona, comes to mind, right? So Louisiana, well, y'all down there. You may also want to outline this with hot glue. So that DAP Rapid Fuse glue acts like a really strong super glue. But to double ensure it, you may want to also do an outline of hot glue all the way around. And the other option is to use a different type of adhesive, and it's called E6000. E6000 is actually an industrial strength glue, but it takes 24 hours to set up. But if you know what you're doing ahead of time, you can easily add that 24 hours ahead and let it set up overnight. All right, so while these are curing, I'm going to set this aside, but I'm going to run that pipe cleaner through there about 2 to 3 inches over and then twist it. So this is what we're going to use to attach it to our frame, is this pipe cleaner right here. We're going to add one to each of the twist ties. And we're going to set this aside while the glue is curing. Set that aside, and now we're going to start playing with that beautiful mesh. By the way, if you want to learn more, be sure to check out my website at festivecreationsbystephanie.com. You can buy supplies there. You can also get access to tutorials and other great tools. So be sure to check out my website at festivecreationsbystephanie.com. All right, so for this portion of our program, I'm going to lay these down there for a second so it'll quit. I'm actually going to take the end of our mesh and I'm going to roll it in a couple of turns. So it doesn't have to be a real tight roll, like about the size of a quarter. $50. You can go smaller, like a dime size. Either one's fine. But I just start this, and now that's where that clip comes in. If you take your clip or clothespin or whatever and just hold it on there, now I'm hands-free. I can flip it this way, and I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite end. I'm just going to roll that in a couple of rolls, and this time I'm going to walk and pull it towards me right up the center of our mesh. Just pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it all the way to me, and boom, right there. And look, we have this beautiful little ruffle, and that's what it looks like on the one side. You can place this either curl side up or curl side down. There is no rules. We're going to bring over our wreath frame, and we're going to add this to the outer rim. So we're going to place that right next to that wire frame, push it down, and give our ties a couple of good twists. Kind of spread that out a little bit, and there is our first ruffle. So I'm going to repeat that all the way around the outer edge, but I do go every other one, and then I'll go back and fill in. So my next one will be, we'll skip one and we'll put one right here. This is what yours should look like, and we still have the top rim to go. The back of it looks just like this. It's very, very smooth, except for where my hands are. There we go. Let's get that fixed. Okay, so let's get started and now work on the top rim, the top row. So that's going to be exactly like the bottom row. We're going to take our piece of mesh and curl up the ends, anywhere from 2 to 3 curls. Clip that, turn it around, and now do the opposite side. So now we're going to start adding these ruffles to the top of our rim. And again, I will skip every other one, and I'll go back and fill in. So I skip one, then I'll do this one next. But when I go to do the fill in afterwards, though, that makes my ruffle lay much neater and nicer on top when I skip every other one. All right, we have finished the top row. So we've added 10 ruffles to the outside ring, 8 to the top, and look at how full this mesh base is. So this is our foundation of our wreath. Again, I'm going to show you the back side of it so that you can kind of see what that looks like. Nice, neat, and beautiful, great quality mesh, of course, too. So let's move on to the next step, and that is we're going to talk ribbon. So for this ribbon, for this wreath kit, you get all 3 rolls of ribbon. You get to decide what to do with this ribbon. You want to add ribbon tails, what ribbon you want to use in your bow, if you even want to have a bow. So all of this goes into what you prefer. I always encourage designers to go outside of the box. I give you suggestions. You don't have to follow my suggestions. Be creative, because I know that's why you're here, is because you have a creative personality, or at least you are maybe just learning. So dare to go out and do something a little differently. So when you think about this sign, we want, what colors do we want to pop? What do we want to blend together? I'm actually going to choose these 2 and make some ribbon tails out of them. So if you can imagine, we could do all 3, technically. You can do 1 ribbon tail, you can do 2, you can stack all 3 of them. Just think about what you want that finished product to look like. And with my bow maker, it has a spool holder on it. So I'm just going to set that roll of ribbon right on top of that spool holder. I'll give you a link below on how you can get a ribbon tail board, but guess what? You can use a ruler. I actually made one out of cardboard when I first started out and wrapped it in duct tape. So just to make life a little bit easier. So don't be afraid to utilize some DIY tools, because, you know, when you start adding up all the things that you could use for your project, you're going to be in for a few dollars. Now, if you have a really handy man around, he might be able to help you out. There's 6, 7, 8, 9, and let me check that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 18 twist ties on our wreath. So I'm going to need 18 ribbon tails. So I cut these at 12 inches each. My ribbon tails are 12 inches each for this 2.5 inch ribbon. There we go. For my dog paw print ribbon, I'm actually going to use a roll that's already open. One of my big pet peeves is having the same ribbon open. Have 15 rolls of the same ribbon open. So for this one, I'm actually going to go 10 inches. So I'm going to go a little bit shorter. And there's 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we have 18 10 inches ribbon tails here. Let's set those aside for a moment. And don't forget, we still have our third roll of ribbon, which is a 1.5 inch gray and white irregular stripe. And I'm just gonna cut a small piece of it, 10 inches, just to show you a variety. So I want you to be able to choose how you want to proceed at this point. Again, get creative. You don't have to put a ribbon tail in every twist tie. You don't have to use ribbon tails at all. You can alternate ribbon tails, like do one in this, it's more like a mint green color. And so you could do alternate mint green and paw print, mint green and paw print. All right, we've got a few to start us out with. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Get a few of these cut so that we can get going. And if you'll notice on the edges, I'm doing what's called dovetailing. That's where I take the ribbon, I fold it in half to where the wired edge are meeting each other, and I cut it at a slight angle. And that makes that V shape there at the end of the ribbon tail. So you get that nice little V shape. So I do that on the ends of all of my ribbon. I know that I'm cutting multiple ones at the same time. If you're new at this, you may want to limit that to 1 or 2 ribbon at the same time, because it can very easily get off track. And then you end up losing a lot of your ribbon and have, you know, extreme waste. So try just doing a few at a time. All right, so I'm going to stack these two together. But remember, if you wanted to, you could add the third one in there too. You could do all 3 together. Let's dovetail this one just so they all match. So you could do all 3, and I like to fold it in half, find my crease where it's the middle of the ribbon, and then I will pinch it, like create a pleat in the middle, pinch it off, and then we're going to add this to the pencil tie. So I start on the bottom edge. the bottom wire, stack those together, and give that a couple of twists. So this is with all 3 ribbon, and honestly, folks, I think I really like all 3 of them together. Anyway, so we're just going to do all 3. How's that sound? That's all 3 ribbon tails at the same time. Look how pretty that is. So let's repeat that. Let's go ahead and cut the rest of these at 10 inches as well. So we're going to need 17 more. Hey friends, if you don't have good sharp scissors, this part will fail you. So let me tell you a little bit about the scissors that I'm using. These are actually called Fisker shears. And I've had these scissors for over 7 years now. I have never sharpened them. The only thing that I use these scissors for is what you see right here. I cut my fabric, my wired ribbon, and if anyone in the household touches my shears, they will get scalded. Not scolded, it's scalded. My husband tried to touch them once, and he learned really quickly, you don't mess with Mama Bear's scissors. And this is why, because if you don't have the good tools to start out with, you know, there's a lot of other things that I can fudge on, but scissors are not one of them. This is my trade, right? So I can't waste my time with messing with recutting items because my scissors aren't sharp enough, or maybe can only do one ribbon at a time because they're too dull. So friends, invest in, if I were to invest any money at all into this crafting, this would be the tool right here. And I also can leave a link to all of my tools. I have a blog post where I list all of my tools, including everything that I'm using here today, so that you can easily go pick and choose. But if I were to invest, if I wanted something as a birthday gift, Christmas gift, Mother's Day gift, but I don't care what kind of gift, just because I love you gift, ask for the shears, Fisker shears. And these are 10 inches long from tip to tip. All right, let's finish cutting these, and then we will be ready to rock and roll on the ribbon tails. Okay, friends, this is what it's going to look like when you have the outer edge completely added, your ribbon tails to the outer edge. So let's go ahead and get started on the top row. And for that, we're just going to repeat the same exact process. So we're going to add our 2.5 inch ribbon, our 1.5 inch irregular stripes, and our 1.5 inch paw print. Let's do 8 more of these bundles and get them added to the top of our wreath frame. Give it a couple of twists. And again, you can spread it out as you add them, or you can do that all at the end. That's totally up to you. At this point is that you can actually stop at this point. You don't necessarily have to make a bow. Not every wreath requires a bow. Look what happens if you were just to put that right there smack in the middle. Makes an adorable design. But we're going to go ahead and add this to the left-hand side as we started out. And I'm going to add those pipe cleaners right through the mesh so that I can attach them to my wreath frame. So the first thing I'm going to do is feed that pipe cleaner through the weave of our mesh on the other side, and then we'll flip it over and add it to the frame, tie it down, secure it to the wreath frame. A lot of times people will ask me, what do you do with the leftover twist ties? In this case, I really don't need to do much. I'll just fold them in. I'm not going to cut them off because sometimes what if it comes loose later on and I needed to retie that? Guess what? I wouldn't have anything to work with, right? So I don't cut off my twist ties. All right, let's turn this over and ta-da! So now here is our pipe cleaners where we attach the sign. And I like to do a couple of different ways. I try to look for that crossbar and make sure that I'm within the wire frame and snugly, not pulling it really tight. I'm snugly attaching it. So there we go. So I should be able to shake it and it's not going to move around. I love that. Looks great. And then I'll go back and trim off that excess to the pipe cleaners when I get done. So let's set that aside again and let's bring out our M's Bow and Go. So for this, actually, let me just leave that there. For this, we're going to start off using some of that 2.5-inch ribbon again. And I am just simply going to add about a 6-inch, a 12-inch piece right there in the center. And we're going to do another one. I'll go back and dovetail these later. We're going to put that one on the bottom and then one more on the top. So 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches. So we've got some tails here. We can dovetail these now or we can dovetail them at the end. Either one is fine. It makes no difference. But now we're going to add some of this gray. So what I want to do is I actually want to add, I want the gray to be a little bit more prominent. So I'm going to add some right here in the middle, give it a loop, about 5.5 inches. So I want all of my pretty side facing upward. There we go. About 5 inches, loop, another loop, another loop, and we're going to cut that off at about 5.5 inches. Now we're going to bring in some more of that paw print. And paw print is going to go on the bottom. So I'm going to add about 5 inches here, loop it 5 inches, twist, 5 inches, twist, or not twist, sorry, because we're just going to do one loop on each side. We're going to repeat that in the top two. So twist, twist, one loop on each side, and cut that off. And we're going to do one more set in the center. I'm going to top this off with that gray and white again. We just need a smaller loop. I'm going to do 4 inches on each side, a single loop here. And I'm going to do a single loop on the top section. So you have, for M's Bow and Go, you actually have the ability to put loops here on the top, in the center, and on the bottom. So you can layer that as many loops as you want. Okay. Now we're going to take a piece of our floral wire. And I like to use 22 gauge floral wire. Find my edge. That's not it. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to cut about 20 inches of floral wire. I'm going to use my wire cutters to cut that, not my Fisker scissors, right? So I'm going to use those wire cutters. I'm going to come up right next to the pegs underneath. So I'm just going to slide this right underneath next to those pegs. See where that comes out. And push that all down again. And as I'm pulling these two together, I'm going to tighten that up. Now I'm going to lift and pull, kind of give it a little twist so it stays together, and lift it all the way off. Look at that. So now I'm going to pull this, just slide it around so it's on the back side of my bow, and give it a couple of really good tight twists. You can also use a zip tie for this portion and then just add a piece of floral wire or pipe cleaner into the zip tie so that you can attach it to your frame. Either one works quite well. You can also watch some of my bow tutorials right here, either on my blog, festivecreationsblog.com/blog. Festive Creations blog. I say blog a lot. You can also watch it on YouTube, Facebook, Festive Creations by Stephanie, everywhere. Pinterest, you name it. You can find Festive Creations by Stephanie just about anywhere. Google me and you will find me. Okay, so let's go ahead and dovetail these. And now we're simply going to take those two wires and we're going to add our bow to our design. So we're going to bring that over here, stick those wires down. And again, you want to think about where you want to place that. And so I'm just going to go right up here in the top right, feed that wire down through my mesh. And once again, you don't want to pull it so that it's being sucked into the wreath, to the mesh. So you want it just kind of gently flowing on top, not, don't pull it so tight that it is now almost touching the frame. Now, don't forget, we had this little guy. And because I want this little guy to really stand out, I'm actually going to take some of our 2.5-inch ribbon and we're going to cut about 24 inches. I'm going to dovetail the ends of those. And we're just going to make a simple bow tie, right? So just like a bow tie bow. And I'm going to lay that dog bone right on top. I already have the wire on my dog bone, so I'm just going to put it right in there. Give it one twist around that ribbon. And now we're going to add that right onto our design. So I'm going to bring it down below our bow. And with this dog bone being made of this very nice, durable, hard plastic, this will hold up in the weather elements really well as the other products that we used in this wreath kit. Don't forget, you can go check out festivecreationsbystephanie.com to see all of our wreath kits that are available. And don't forget to check out the link to learn how you can join the Wreath Kit of the Month Club, where I will send you a new wreath kit every month. It's a different design. You get a huge, huge discounted rate when you are in the Wreath Kit of the Month Club. And you can cancel at any time. It is your option whether or not you want to continue. All right, so I'm just going to give it a little twist so that that bow is right behind it. And check this out. Look at that. Look at this. Okay, let's take a look at this front, side, and center, right? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Check out our finished product right there. Dogs welcome, people tolerated. Y'all, this one turned out so stinking cute. I'm super excited to be able to share this one with you. And as always, hashtag festive wreath kit, festive wreath kit, and so I can see your finished design as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.